3, 2, 1. Welcome to The Peaceful Truth, the podcast where we talk about everything from woman empowerment, feminism, and everything in between. I am joined by my two lovely Seattleite friends who are gorgeous, Miss Kayla and Gabby. Yay! So how do I know you guys? Tell them about how I know you and tell them about yourself.
So, it's always so complicated when I try to explain how I know
friendship?
you.
Yeah.
And I always fumble a word where everyone's always like, no, that's not it. You're missing a step. So, I met Kenzie because my best friend Jackie is, I guess, engaged to this guy whose brother is married to Kenzie's sister. I think I nailed all the steps.
I think that's it. Yeah.
Normally, somehow, Kenzie's married to her brother-in-law or, like, engaged to my best friend's fiance, and it's always like, no,
and
Kayla.
And then people will, like, their facial reactions
I'm like,
are always
no,
like,
I just missed
what?
a step. I just missed a step.
It
makes sense, I swear.
It does make sense. And then I know Gabby through Kayla, and you guys are, like, childhood best friends.
Yeah, 27 years.
27
of 27. We've known each other.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I have one friendship like that, and that's the best.
They're hard to come by.
It is. It's crazy. I know people usually don't believe it. We're like,
oh. Well, it's amazing. And then Gabby and I hit it off from there, and we've been friends too.
I feel like once you get in with, like, if you're friends with Kayla and Jackie and all of them, then I know you're, like, a genuine good person. So I'm like, okay.
For sure.
That gets legit.
Funny enough, you guys met on a night where we met this random dude out.
Which dude?
Remember? We were out in Columbia City.
And then you and me.
And then me and Deborah went on
That
with
wasn't the
that
first
dude.
time we met.
But that was the first night you bonded.
Yes. But that wasn't the first time we met.
Okay, but the real bonding, I guess.
But it's very prevalent to this episode.
Exactly. I forgot about that, so, like, thank you.
Yeah.
Yikes. So that is some dirty history. But anyway, this week we are going to talk about modern dating. And the cluster F that it is. But we want to preface it, or I at least want to, because I'm sensitive about this stuff. But this is all from, like, a straight woman's perspective. So, like, if we're not paintbrushing people either. So we don't hate all men. We have guys that are our friends that we love that probably want to do some of this shit. But probably have at the same time.
Just not to us.
Just not to
And
us.
we would never date them.
Yeah, there we go.
Exactly. So we don't hate men, but yeah, so we're talking about the dating world. But so I guess let's talk about you two and focus on you guys because you're my guests.
Yeah.
So tell me about your dating life. How are you?
Okay.
Are you single?
Well,
Or can people subscribe to your channel?
I mean, people can always add into the Rolodex, I suppose. But for all intents and purposes, I am single. Yes, I am. I've been single for quite a while. I should say I've only ever lived in Seattle, so different from you guys. So I've really only dated in the Seattle scene. Although that is kind of different because, you know, being in Seattle, there's so many transplants that move here and stuff, and I've noticed that...
So you get different vibes.
Yeah,
sometimes.
I've definitely gotten different vibes. I would say definitely you can tell who's from Seattle and who's not.
I've heard that.
When you're out on
I
dates.
completely agree. Like, you can just tell. Even, like, straight
Wait, where
away.
else did you live?
I lived
feel
in
like an asshole.
South Florida, like West Palm Beach.
What?
Yeah.
When?
Like
Twice.
Yes.
You did?
I did, like, my freshman
that with,
year
like,
in
Jeannie?
college. Oh God, no.
No!
I didn't know Jeannie at that point.
Okay.
I went to school in the west coast of Florida.
Okay.
And then I met one of my best friends at the time at that school.
Okay.
And then I moved to the other coast shortly thereafter. And we got a place super cheap.
So you've got a
on the
different
beach.
vibe than, like, Seattle perfectly.
Well, she moved back and then she moved.
I did some flip flopping.
As far as dating goes, you've, like, seen different stuff than Seattle.
Yes. Oh yes.
Okay. And I'm from Texas, so it's
You've
like
seen some things.
yes, it's some of it's good, some of it's bad,
Okay.
and we can go through that. So you're currently single. What about you, Gabby? Are you on the market?
I am on the market. I've been on the market.
Should I shout out my Instagram handle in case any of you guys are watching?
Do it.
Hey.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Press the like
no,
button.
definitely been single for a while. and it's just like sucks.
Me as well.
But like at the same time, I feel like I'm such an independent person. Like I can do everything myself. That's my excuse of why.
But you get into a comfort zone. Like I used to be the relationship person and known as that, but I'm finding myself like okay, like how would I react as like in an adult relationship? You know what I mean? Like because you get into like
you get comfortable, and I'm like so used to doing everything on my own. Like
that's me
not
too.
Not needing anyone's help for anything.
Yeah, exactly. Like I've dated guys. And, for like 3 or 4 months or whatever, but, there was never that relationship title on it. So it's always like, well, I'm not really in a relationship. So I still have my, like, independence and stuff. And it's just, like, I definitely do want a boyfriend, but it's hard to find someone. It's really hard to find someone that matches up with exactly with what you want.
But that's the healthiest part to be at, right?
Yeah.
To not need one and know that, but want one.
And that's why I feel like my standards are like pretty high.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
See, I feel like I'm the opposite. Like I don't necessarily want a boyfriend. Like it's not like I need a boyfriend. I want a boyfriend. Like like I really don't care. But I feel like that's because like I just have not met anyone worth
giving your time to.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like,
exactly. But then what I think is on the counter fact of that, which is like the next point I want to talk about, is like the fuckboy culture of Seattle. Oh. And let's define what we think a fuckboy is and then talk about Seattle's culture. But leading back into that, I feel like, I've like dated in Seattle a lot as well. And I like felt ready for a relationship, but it was always like that culture of the fuckboy where they trick you into thinking they're the nice guy.
Oh, 100%.
And that's like why it's like, oh, I'm ready for a nice guy and I'm picky, but the fuckboys can trick you.
It's so true. It's so true because it's like, even like there's so many dating apps, and over time, different dating apps have like gotten their different, like, oh, this dating app's for this sort of like for hookups, and this dating app is really looking for
like what they're known for.
Yeah, exactly.
Or what they think they're known for.
It's weird because it's like you'll be like, okay, well I'm gonna delete these dating apps because they're clearly only known for hookups and I don't want it. And then you'll go on dating apps, and I've noticed this more with dudes that are from Seattle, which there's the whole like Seattle freeze thing, and it's like I've read about and I've heard this thing about how like the Seattle freeze is such a real thing, especially there's this podcast that ended up saying like Seattle is actually probably the worst place to try to find a relationship.
Yeah, I think it's overall the trend of the country what we're experiencing, but I think Seattle is like the nucleus of the worst part.
Like I always grew up like 45 minutes outside of it, so it's like, oh, I lived in a small farm town where like everyone's pretty friendly, and then when I start going out to Seattle, it's like...
Yeah, you never treated me like the freeze, though. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like... Or you either. Like, I feel like you guys immediately were like, hey, what's up?
Can agree and disagree. Like, I will be nice to anyone.
That's me,
but that doesn't, like, if I'm nice to some stranger on the street, that doesn't mean... It's usually just, like, I'm just... like, I'm just trying to get on with my day. Like...
Well, what's funny, so my best friend from Denver was in town. You just met her, Sarah.
Yeah.
So we would walk up to the train station, and I feel like, especially since I started going out in Seattle, and then probably even more since I started like dating in Seattle and living in Seattle, we were walking up to the train station to go get coffee, and we passed several people, and she's like, hi, and I kept looking at her like,
what are you doing?
What are you doing? And then I'm like, oh my gosh. Normal people say it just like, we'll be friendly and make eye contact with people.
Yeah, do you
That's
remember?
What I thought was normal, just like you smile like. Smile.
We actually
went I don't do that.
I'll smile. If I know I come back, I smile.
We actually went on a boat like the other day, Gabby, and there was like a stranger, but I knew that she was on our boat party, but I've never met her before. But we were like passing in the hallway, and I was like introducing myself, and I was excited to meet her, and it was like the text in me. I was like, oh my gosh, hi, I'm Kenzie, and I like immediately like stuck my hand out, like huge smile on my face, and she's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'll move. Like she thought I was being like passive aggressive bitchy. And I was like, no, I'm like on your boat party. And she was like, oh my God, I'm sorry. I thought like people, it was like the Seattle freeze. And I was like, no, I was just genuinely saying that.
Oh gosh.
But yeah, like the fuckboy culture. So what is a fuckboy? Gabby, what would you define a fuckboy as?
I mean, I would just be like someone who just wants to sleep around.
Yeah.
Like they have no interest in honestly getting to know you or who you are.
But they pretend.
Just to like get what they want though.
Right.
Exactly. Well,
like they give you just enough maybe to like, oh, maybe he likes me or like.
But I feel
the slightest bit of hope in it.
Exactly. I feel like what they do is they play the game enough to make you feel like you're special. Like, it's not just the straight up guys that are like, hey, I'm just
That's why it's a fuck boy, because it fucks you over not only literally, but figuratively in the
mentally.
way. Yeah, in the way where they, like, fuck with you. Like, you know what I mean? Where they're like, oh, yeah, I want a relationship. I'm a nice guy. Fuck those guys. Like, I'm different. And then by date, like, 3 or 4 or 5, and they're like, sorry, I wasn't looking for anything serious. Once they get, like...
After you've slept with them.
Right, what they want.
Yeah. And it kind of sucks because it's like, as, you know, women that are living in a pretty liberal place where, for the most part, we feel comfortable with our bodies. We feel comfortable being like, hey, like, if I want to have sex with this dude, who cares, whatever. But it's like, if you're getting to know someone and you're like, oh, I like them. Like, it's weird because you have to, like, play this game of, like, all right, I'm going to go take my calendar out and I'm going to choose, we have to go on this many dates.
It just
and
seems so
he has to pay for this many dates, and then he has to meet my friends this many times, and then maybe I'll let him touch my boobs.
It shouldn't be that way. It should be like...
It should be natural, but you have to play this weird game.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think that's what a fuckboy is?
No, I agree. I feel like it's just someone who just wants to use you. They're not in it for the long haul at all. But they will act like they are, or give you hope that there's like something in the future for you guys, or something of the sort. And you're like, wow, like this person's like pretty genuine. They care about me, or like, wow.
Especially because they always put on the moves to begin with.
And it's so hard to get to know anyone in this city.
Yeah.
Like on a real level. So it's like hard.
Especially because I feel like, no offense, but I feel like, you know, people work at these tech companies where they're like, I'm so busy all the time. And so they're like, I don't have time for these relationships and I just need to like...
And I think there's some, I think it's like in extremes. Like I come from the South and here's like my dating, it was like this, but I've been hearing that it's more similar to Seattle lately. But back when I was there, this was what it was like. It was like ring by degree, which means like you get a ring before you graduate. And it was like, get married to your high school or college sweetheart. Get married by 24. If you haven't, that sucks. If you haven't had a baby by my age, like, wow, what's wrong with you? You know what I mean? Like, it's all these things. And I feel like Seattle's like, you don't settle down a lot, but it's also like not even natural. It's like they're avoiding it to an unnatural point. I think there's the extremes of both sides. And I feel like Seattle's the extreme of coldness. And the South is the extreme of like rushing marriage where you'll probably get a divorce. Like, do you know what I mean?
I've never felt that, like what you said, I've never felt that kind of pressure ever.
Yeah. Really? Yeah. I like still have the shame that I deal with. God. Like, I'm like, oh, I'm almost 30 and I'm living in an apartment still and I got...
Oh my God. Like, I feel like
and even though that's not truly what my soul
it's just
wants,
like
it's just what I've been trying to think about myself.
Like, I feel like growing up, it was always like, oh, like, I'm going to be married by this time. I'm going to have kids. Like, but that's like little girl, like, what I see on TV, basically.
And no, that's like reinforced
and then I
throughout your
grow
life.
up, I'm like, oh, like, fuck that. Like, no.
But here there's no pressure. Here it's like...
But it's like an extreme to a degree.
Exactly. It's a very closed off, like, oh, I need to focus on my career.
That route, and they still do that, and you see it, and you're like, wait, hold on, like, am I doing something wrong? Like, did I, like, miss a step?
Yeah.
Then you start, like, second guessing yourself, and, like, it just makes this whole, like, whirlwind of insecurities, at least for me.
Right. Yeah, it is weird. Well, I feel like it's different, though, like, when you live in the city, because it's a lot less common in the city, but, like, we both grew up pretty close to the suburbs, and it's like, I see so many people from my high school, like,
me too. I'm like,
three kids. But then I'm also kids. Like,
you're still together.
I wouldn't want to be you.
And I'm like,
I know,
same.
but I used to think I'd be married with kids at this point, and then I look at a kid and I'm like, that was a lot of work.
Yeah, exactly.
I see a kid now, I'm like, ooh, like, you're cute from, like, over here.
Yeah, I know.
I'm good.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's talk about some unacceptable behaviors that are just stupid. Talking about the extremes of Seattle. Like,
oh boy.
Like, I feel like what I think is the most bullshit I've ever experienced is claiming that you want a strong woman. and then like not liking when she has a different opinion. I feel like I've experienced that. Maybe it's more Texas based, but they'll be like, yeah, of course I want a strong, independent woman. But when I'm actually like truly myself, a lot of times it'll be like, oh, that's too strong. You know what I mean? So I'll find myself going into more like, oh, whatever you want tendencies.
So for me, like when I've kind of been in like relationships with dudes that I know have kind of like had like kind of, I don't know, just like not the most favorable like past girlfriends, I'm like, all right, like I get that. I'm like, but this is me. This is who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel
carrying that baggage into you.
But I feel like so many. Well, I feel like I'm kind of like a take it or leave it because it's like this is my personality. This is who I am. I feel like when I was younger, I tried to be like, oh, I'm so like shy and blah blah blah, and I've just kind of grown into like being more confident in who I am as a person and knowing that I'm a successful person and stuff. And it's funny because like I feel like a lot of guys, they act like they admire that. They're like, that is so great for you.
Because I feel like that's like blah, right blah, now, blah, like women empowerment is like in.
It's in, but
like not for the right reasons.
But then these dudes will break up with me.
Yes,
like
it's great that it's cultural.
And then these dudes will break up with me, and then clearly I get broken up. These dudes will break up with me, and they'll go for these more damaged type girls
that are submissive.
Yeah, and I'm like, you say you want all this power, but
when you actually have it, it's not true.
But you don't actually like it.
And I don't. Strange. Again, not every man.
No, not every man, but I've noticed this a lot.
I've noticed this a lot. And like to be honest, I was told later after a very serious relationship that the whole time he was telling me he loved my personality and how strong I was, and later I found out he didn't like that I was the more dominant person in the relationship. I'm like, no, you fucking didn't like it.
The worst thing is when they aren't honest with their feelings. I'm like, just if you don't like me, say you don't like me. Yeah. I will be okay.
Yeah.
But I would rather you tell me that than string me along, and then for me to like get hurt down the road because I'm like, now I'm so involved in this.
Yeah.
But like if you just like, hey, you know what, I'm not feeling this.
Playing the fuckboy game.
I'm just, I'm gonna go date some other girls.
But it's also, you know what I find weird too? Like, I feel like dudes are always so, I'm so anti-drama, blah, blah, blah. But you guys know this last guy that I dated.
Yeah.
We tried twice, and like, it seems like I was so low drama, he couldn't handle it.
And it would blow up the things that weren't as big of a deal to make something out of it.
Yeah.
Right? Like
it was just so weird because he would just be like, I can't do this. And I'm like, why? I'm being so cool and so chill and so understanding of everything.
And he was the one freaking out. Yeah.
And you're the one freaking out, and yeah.
That's why I'm like, I feel like in that situation, like that person has their own shit they need to deal with.
Yeah.
Like they have had their own demons, they have not figured it out yet, and they're just rushing into shit.
Yeah.
To maybe mask it, get over it, pretend it's not there.
Yeah.
It's an excuse, and then it comes to surface in the worst time.
Yeah, it's so funny though, because
you should not be in a relationship. You need to like work on yourself.
100%. I don't know. I just feel like a lot of dudes, they try to perpetuate what they want, but what they say and what they might think they want clearly isn't exactly what they want. I feel
like they say like what you kind of want to hear to keep you around because they need you around for whatever reason.
To fulfill whatever
need they have.
Desire they have. 100%.
And they're thinking about themselves. They're not thinking about you and like what you're going through, what you need, like where you're mentally at.
Right. Or they project like onto you of what they think you think you are.
Yeah.
Where they think you are.
Yeah.
And
I saw this Twitter thread today, which was kind of sad, which again, not all men, obviously.
No.
But it was like, I wish I could remember the exact phrasing, but the chick was like, here's a thread below, tell me why men are like actually settling down. And she was like, the main two reasons are either, women have put up with their like
crap,
fuckboyness enough, and their crap, and their kind of like weird ass borderline abusive but in a joking way behavior long enough, or I can't remember the second one, or they were like, or the men was the one that decided like, I need to settle down now, you seem like you have the traits, so I'm gonna choose you.
And you put up for this put up with it for this long, so
might as well.
Like, why would I have to do this all over again?
And it's so weird to think that it's just like
that's like probably leads to a divorce, right?
Exactly, that's what I'm thinking. Like, that's why none of this ever works out in the end.
Exactly.
No, and you were tricked the whole time to think it was something else.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about, like, have you guys been on the Reddit feed of, like, nice guy?
I've definitely seen some nice guy stuff.
Tell me.
So a nice guy is the guy that thinks it's almost like, I kind of think of dudes, I used to say this a lot, but again, it's not hard and fast rule. It's like a spectrum. And Kayla's heard my spectrum. Haven't you?
I think so, yeah.
Where, have you heard it?
No.
Where one end is an extreme. It's two extreme ends, and then there's the middle. It's the perfect guy, but it's harder to find.
Okay. Like your universe.
It's like the opposite parabola.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. It's like a mathematical equation. Either they are, and I'm sure women have one too, but they're either extremely clingy and like smothery.
Clingy.
Okay. Clingy. I can't pronounce it.
I don't know a lot of clean dudes.
I don't know a lot of clean dudes. And then on the other side is fuckboy, and like in the middle is somewhere in between. Anyway, the nice guy is more on the clingy spectrum. And
it's like the incel type dudes.
They're entitled dudes where
Do you know what incel is?
No.
That's the extremist version of it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess nice guys, but they kind of fall in that area. So incels are like the involuntary celibates that are like, I blame women for the reason that I'm a virgin.
God, no.
So yeah, that's clearly an extreme version of it, but the nice guys a little bit have that mentality.
Yeah, because it's like that they think that and they're the type of guys who will also be like, oh, girls only want bad guys and they never go for the
they're
nice
like
guy.
so butthurt about themselves.
But they aren't introspective. Like, they think they're the nice guy and they might be nice overall. Yeah, sure, nice you haven't qualities. Raped or killed anybody. But like overall, it's like.
But what if you brought to the table?
Yeah, no, but it's like they can't be introspective of why women aren't going for them. They're just like, they have to blame it on the women. Women don't want a nice guy.
Okay, yeah.
Women don't want this. I'm the nice guy, but I can't introspectively think about what is scaring women away. You know what I mean?
It's not them.
It's not them. It's like an opposite conceited, where they think they're the nice
It
guy.
is.
Like, you know what I mean?
That's so funny.
The other thing I wanted to rank is dating apps.
All right. Yeah, I feel like we touched on dating apps and how certain ones are.
Yeah, so now like the culture of our generation, I guess we're like millennial-Gen Z-ish.
I actually watched a video on this today. We're definitely millennials. We are not Gen Z.
I know we aren't, but like...
We have some Gen Z influences.
Yes. So I think the most common apps today, and correct me if I'm wrong, are Tinder, Bumble, and Hinge.
Yes. Although I did try the League, but...
I tried that too.
Oh, I tried that too. It's so elitist.
It limits you. I never met
the same guys that were on that were on every other app.
Yeah,
what
exactly.
What makes it so special is all the same idiots. Same. Literally me.
So my cat's like loving on Gab right now. Okay, so what is, Kayla, is your favorite order of these dating apps currently?
Well, I only have Hinge on my phone.
So Hinge is your number one.
Yeah. Tinder. I have a story about Tinder, which I'll tell in a bit. Bumble.
We'll be on dating apps for a minute.
I had Bumble for a little bit, and then I deleted it when I deleted all my apps, and then I got Bumble again, and no one ever matched me on Bumble. I don't know why. No one ever matched me on Bumble, so I deleted it out of insecurity.
And also, I'm like, it takes too long to like get a match.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard, and then I don't know. I'm socially awkward, so I'm like. I have a hard time.
It.
Yeah, although on Hinge I like it because it kind of gives you certain prompts. So sometimes if I do feel like initiating a conversation
for you,
I can start it based off of something that they said.
I know, but then I feel like it gets repetitive because if like someone responds to like one of the things I said, the guys all think they were so creative, but it was the same. But
like you're literally all saying the same thing.
Yeah, well, it must be nice to have people actually respond first. Can never be me.
I would say mine back when I was on them. I would say mine were Bumble, Hinge, Tinder.
Well, it must be nice to be matched on Bumble. Could never be me.
That's when I got the most date rate success.
Bumble once, and he was like, "I'm really busy right now, but I'm responding just like this doesn't expire, but like I have to go." I was like, what?
No,
like,
really?
Yeah.
She's ready to choose. What would you say is like the qualities of each dating app? Let's say someone has never done, like, to explain the culture around each dating app, because they each have a vibe.
So I can't really speak to Bumble because the only person
I love me some Bumble.
So the only person I ever met off of Bumble, I met him. Remember that first 2016 Austin trip that we went to? You, me, and Jeannie. So
explain this to the viewer.
Oh my God.
So we went to Austin, and I'm always just like, especially in other towns, I don't even want to hook up with people, but I just get bored.
And you get to see who's there.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like in Texas you'll get.
Oh, and they're so hot.
Everyone in Texas was so good looking.
They're so good
looking.
And they're so nice.
But that was also a big transplant area. Like, no one there was from Texas.
Mm-hmm. But so yeah, I remember I like matched with this guy. And then, like, a year later when I went to ACL, because I matched with him, and then I was like, oh, I'm leaving. And then I came back a year later for ACL, and, like, he met me and my friends at the bar, and we just, like, got drinks. And I was like, this is awesome. Like, cool. Like,
meeting people is fun.
Yeah, exactly.
And not all Texas men, because I haven't been there in a minute, but I feel like they want to expect sex. But, like, just by meeting up. But maybe not.
But it was cool. It was cool to be like, okay, cool.
I was in 2 very serious relationships, and my only time that I could have dated in Texas, I was like from 16 to 22, and then from 23 to like 25 before I moved out here was like all in a serious relationship. So I don't exactly know the culture of dating.
Okay. But it just seemed, I was like, oh, that's very like nice. That like, okay. So that's my only Bumble experience.
We're like so surprised, like, oh, that's so nice. He just like wants to hang out with me.
Yeah. Back when I was on the apps, I would say this would be like my description of them. I would say Tinder is for hookups.
Yes.
So it's kind of the sleaziest stuff.
But also for hookup, well, okay, yeah.
But I know people who have developed real relationships on them. I've met them, but I think it's that fuck mentality on that one.
It is.
I feel like because that's what it's known for. I feel like people have created that identity for it. Like, it may have not been that when it first came out, but like,
I agree because I like
people have made it be that.
I kind of dated a dude like for a few months that I met off of Tinder, and it was great, and it was just that, and then somehow we mutually ghosted each other. I still somehow like we'll still like each other's stuff on Instagram. It's great, but somehow we just both stopped talking to each other.
I love that.
It happens.
Yeah, it happens.
And then I would say Bumble's the in between of you could get a fuck boy and you could get a real relationship.
Yeah.
So what's Hinge?
And then Hinge, I think, is the classiest.
It's supposed to be like.
But in my mind, I want to think like Bumble's like better than Hinge.
Why?
I don't know.
No, I like Hinge because it makes people speak in more interest.
That's what I think, and that's what
like
makes
that
it
it's an
classier.
equal like.
But I've also
both
met
sides
fuckboys
can like start it. It doesn't have to be like one person be like, oh, like I gotta.
No, Hinge is the
that
best.
is like my confident personality where I'm just like, all right, I'll message you if you don't message me back. Whatever. So I'm like, I don't care about initiating.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I think Hinge has the way the platform's set up is because it's like.
It's equal to both sides. Like
equal to both sides.
You can initiate and they can initiate at the same time.
I mean, there's like OkCupid. There's like plenty of.
I
don't use those.
Old guy.
Those are for old people.
I try to.
No offense. No offense. To our Gen Z, to our boomers, we love you.
No, who's the one in between us? No one even cares.
Boomers, like my dad's a boomer.
Yeah, no one even.
Gen X. Sorry, Gen X.
Yeah,
we love you.
Gen X. Okay, so dating app stories. Let's tell a dating app story, a horror story.
Okay.
Do you have one?
I do have one.
Okay, you start and then I'll tell mine, and then Gabby will talk.
A heartbreaking one.
Oh
my god!
Do you want to go with that? Mine is just funny.
It's just like I was immediately like, yes, I love you.
Yeah.
And he was.
So like when I say like I love somebody, it does not mean like I didn't say I love you.
Literally,
but I was,
it's like
told
you
my
were
friends,
like,
I'm like, I'm in love. I'm in love.
Yeah. So I feel like I've told you guys about this story already. I mean, you were living with me at the time, so.
Tell it.
But it's a really funny one. So I had matched with this guy on this dating app, and he was like cute. So we exchanged numbers. We were talking, But like our conversation was just very like stifled, and I was like, okay, this guy doesn't really like me that much. Obviously, I'm like talking to other guys and everything. And then one of the days, he just randomly was like, hey, we should meet up. And I just kind of been
I'm
like,
still not sure who this is.
You'll know by the end of it.
Okay.
You'll know.
Okay.
And so one of the days he's like, hey, we should meet up. And I had kind of like gone through the motions with a bunch of guys already, and so I was just kind of like at my wit's end, and I was like, hey, just, I want to know what you're looking for, because I am not looking just to hook up. I
love that you will like go out and say that.
I was like, I'm not just looking to hook up,
and then they
you need to set your preferences. You need to set your own boundaries.
You do.
Yeah.
Whether it's awkward or not, it's like avoiding things.
But if people think it's awkward, then are they even the right one for you? No. But so I was like, hey, this is what I'm looking for, blah, blah, blah. He's like, okay, well, I'm not really looking for anything serious. He's like, but I do think you're a really cool girl. And he's like, I'm sorry, but yeah, not looking for anything serious. Yeah, so we're texting at this point. And I was like, honestly, like, thank you for being upfront, because like so many guys on here have not been upfront. And I'm like, you're really cool. I would really like to be friends with you. And then he was like, hey, well, why don't we get drinks after work today? And I was like, yeah, honestly, that sounds really good. And so we met up and we got drinks after work, and he was way cuter in person. In my mind, I was like, shit, do I want to hook up with him? And I was like, no, stand your ground. Because I've been trying, at this point, I was trying to shift from this, let me just be okay with hooking up, even though I wasn't, to standing my ground and being like, even if I want to hook up with you, I'm not going to hook up with, I don't fucking remember at this point. And so we like got drinks, whatever.
How long ago was this?
This like a year and a half ago or something. And so we were, or maybe only like a year ago or something. And so we had drinks. It was like the best time. And I was like, dang, this guy's cute. He's so funny. And then I was like, oh man, like, why is he not looking for something? And so we paid the check at the first place, and he's like, hey, so I just want to let you know, like, I'm in an open relationship. There you go. And I was like, oh. He's like, so I don't know if that means anything to you. I was like, no, I already told you I'm not looking to hook up. I was like, but I do think you're a cool dude. He's like, all right, let's go to the next bar. I'm like, cool, sounds great. So we go to the next bar, and now he's buying all my drinks. And I'm like, I'm not one to say no to free drinks. So I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. And so then he's putting his arm around me, and I'm like, yeah. And then he just like kissing, like, are you sure you wouldn't be okay with this? And I'm like, no, but I'm like, but keep the drinks coming, cool, whatever. And then he just like kept feeding me free drinks, and I love free things. I'm not gonna lie, I love free things. So I'm like, yeah, just keep it coming. Why not? And then he's like starts kissing me, and I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this. And then all of a sudden he gets a phone call, and he's like, I gotta go. And I'm like, okay, sounds good. And then he's gone, and I'm sitting there just like sipping my drink. Cool. 10 minutes go by. All right. 15, 20. All right. Like half an hour goes by, and I'm sitting there alone. So I text him like, dude,
did he leave?
Are you good? I was like, if this is your girlfriend calling you saying she's not cool with you hanging out with a girl that's a friend, that's fine. He comes back like 5-10 minutes later, and he comes to sit down next to me. He goes, so my girlfriend said we can't have sex. And I was like, dude, I was telling you we can't have sex the whole night.
You're like, I was telling you, I just wanted to be friends.
And I'm sorry that you wanted to kiss me.
So he literally went on the phone call to ask his girlfriend permission to have sex with you. That girl needs to break up with that piece of shit.
Oh, but then I was like, well, I think it's time for me to go then, since I never said I wanted this. And he's like, okay, yeah, that's fine, blah, blah, blah. And like, so I get in the Uber. Homeboy continues to hit me up for weeks, and I'm like, no. And like, I kept texting him like, no. And then I was like, dude, get the freaking picture. No. So then I go on Tinder again, match with another guy. We're talking a little bit. I give him my number. We're texting a little bit. And then he goes, hey, so I just want to let you know, I'm in an open relationship. And I'm like, nope, delete Tinder.
Yeah.
I've not downloaded Tinder since then. I
have a horror story like that too. Like where it's like the open relationship guys.
Yeah.
Where you don't know it is. Like one time back when I was in Colorado and single, I was like, thought this guy was cute from afar. And one of my guy friends was like, do you want me to like be your wingman and go talk to him for you? I was like, no, he's like with another guy and 2 other girls. It's clearly like a double date situation.
There's something happening.
And I was like, no, don't talk to him. And he's like, well, if that's the case, he'll just say no. And I'm like, okay, you're right. And so I let him go do that. And he's like, that girl thinks you're cute. And like points to me. And then this guy.
So much anxiety.
Triggered.
And then this guy comes over to me. He buys me a drink. We start dancing. We almost kissed. He pulls back. And I'm like, okay. And then I get his number and we start texting for several days. We're planning a date and we're going out. And he, at one point, and before we met up again, he was like, send me a picture of yourself. And I was like, why? Like, no, what? Like, it was just so out of left field. So I was like, no, why? And he was like, I just want to show, and he totally lied. He goes, I want to show my guy friends how cute of a woman that you are that I'm now talking to. And I was like, then find me on Instagram. And literally, that's what I said. Then find me on Instagram. And he was like, no, I need you to send me a picture. And I was like, no. And then the text after, he goes, are you in a relationship? And I go, no, why would I be talking to you if I was in a relationship? He goes, okay, cool. This might be like our last conversation then, because I want to have a 3-way with my girlfriend, and that's why I want a picture with you.
I know.
And I never responded.
Yeah, I would never respond to that either.
No.
So she was probably one of those girls at that night.
Yeah, probably. That's so awkward. And again, not to like shame.
And I was like a part of their weird foreplay that night.
Not to shame anyone that's into that.
No, and that's not shame, but it was just shady.
Yeah.
Like, be like, this is my girlfriend. We're looking for a 3-way.
Oh, I agree. And
lead with it.
The second guy that I told in my story, the fact that he was upfront about it, like before we met up, I was like, awesome, cool, not into it. But then I was like, maybe Tinder's not the thing for me. But the fact that the other guy that I met under the guise of being like, I just want to be friends with you. You seem awesome. And then he springs that on me. I'm like, it's not cool. It's not cool to spring stuff like that on someone like suddenly.
Speaking of dating app stories, what was yours?
Where I was heartbroken?
Yeah.
Yes, tell it. Or talking about our dating apps. Horror stories.
So I met up with this guy after work.
Which app?
Tinder.
Okay.
But like he seemed like super chill, super nice. I was like, oh, this guy's like totally like up my alley. It'll be great.
He's legit.
He's legit.
He's not a
so
fuckboy.
cute.
Yeah.
And like we hung out and it was I thought it went really well. Like we talked the entire time. It was great. I was in love. And then I was going to the baseball game that night, so I couldn't hang out any longer. I was like, but I said that in the beginning, I'm like, I have to leave at some point, so whatever. And so whatever, went to the baseball game, tried texting him when I was there, maybe talked a little bit, didn't hear from him for a couple days. I texted him again because I was like, hey, like whatever, like I don't get it.
Gotta shoot
whatever,
your shot.
I'm gonna shoot my shot, like we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And he responded and he was like, oh my gosh, hey, like how are you, like blah blah blah. I was like, oh my gosh, like this is great news. Like he's interested. He's like asking me how my week has been, how I've been, all this stuff. And I'm like, oh wow, like this is great. I'm telling all my friends.
Yeah.
Keeping them updated to the minute. And then I ask him if he wants to like hang out, get food, whatever, next week, and he just ghosts me. And I'm like, why would you
continue?
Why would you ask me about me and how I'm doing and like all this stuff? Yeah. And like be interested in like what's happening in my life.
Fuck boy.
And then as soon as I'm like, hey, like let's hang out, let's get food, let's do something, and you immediately are like,
bye.
Nothing.
Is he from Seattle too? Yeah, it's Casey.
I actually don't know if I've ever actually dated when I've dated in Seattle, it's all been transplants, but they've all picked up on the behavior.
Mm-hmm. The last 2 guys I just talked about, both from Seattle. It's weird. It's weird. They all have like a weird, and I'm sorry, any dudes that are from Seattle, but I'm just like, you all have this weird mentality that makes us like overreact in a certain way.
Yeah, gaslight.
It's like,
true. Very easily like,
yeah.
Like, okay,
all right, this is how you are. This is how I have to be, I guess.
No,
almost like the second you like show
you have to be on the offensive because like they're so passive.
Right.
So I'm like, oh my god, you like me, like this is great.
I would say
I like you.
My dating horror stories. One, Flat Stick is a local like mini golf place, and every time I go there on a
sound
date,
like you did one?
No, anyone, any of the
any
Flat Sticks.
I've never been.
Particularly Kirkland, because
I
used to live on the east side. After I go on a date to Flat Stick, which they all think is so creative to go to Flat Stick, after I go on a date to Flat Stick, the relationship would have been over. Every time.
One guy asked me to go to Flat Stick, and I said no.
Say no. It's a bad mojo. But anyway, it's fun to go with friends. Would never go on a date there. But anyway, when I was there, I was like a guy from Bumble. I thought he was super hot.
Love that.
And I was going out on a date with him, but I was like, but we're also talking, and so it seems like a relationship. And I'm just not good at casual hookups. So I'm like, oh, I thought this was a relationship. And so this guy, we go out on the state, and we played literally one round of mini golf in Kirkland, which if you've ever been to the Kirkland location, it's like 15 minutes long or less. Yeah. And so we finish our round, and he literally goes, so do you want to go back to my place? And I was like, no, not yet. And he goes, oh, okay. And he like puts his arm around me, and he hasn't kissed me, but he's like kissing my ear, and I'm like, this is like too much. And he keeps asking me back to his place, and I'm like, no. And he goes, okay, fine, and literally gets up and leaves.
Oh, yikes!
Horror stories.
Actually, well, I feel like that will happen, or like, even if you like go to a guy's house and you're like, I don't want to have sex with you, then they're like, well, fine.
Yeah.
Which it's like, I mean, I guess I feel like you wanted to talk about like sex culture type stuff.
Yeah, let's talk about sex culture. So what do you think, like, I know Kayla and I have had this talk as friends.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm talking about.
Uh-huh.
I feel really ashamed as a woman to talk about sex, to, like, be liberated in sex, and, like, it takes me so much trust with a person to feel like I can let my guard down with that fully and, like, enjoy the experience. And I just feel like I have so many walls up when it comes to that stuff. Like, what do you think the sex culture... You have a completely different mindset than me. You are so liberated. And
I do, but at the same time, like, the actual... So I guess So, like, I feel like what your perspective is like, coming from the South, you have all these expectations of, like, oh, I need to be as good as Southern girl.
Yeah.
And, like, not... Where, like, here, it's never... The thing that I feel like with growing up here, I mean, maybe not even just growing up here, but just growing up knowing that, like, oh, I've never been pressured into thinking a certain way. But then, you know, like, growing up and, like, going to, like, college and stuff, and, like, as a girl, it's, like, in your mindset where it's, like, oh, if a guy takes you out, or if they take you back to their frat or whatever, it's, like, oh, you have to have sex with them. And not that I ever felt bad about doing that, but, you know,
there's, like, different cultural things. Yeah, like, they're expected if they do some level of thing.
Exactly. And it's, like, I wouldn't say I regret, like, having the sex that I've had, but at the same time, it's kind of like, oh, it kind of sucks that, like, that was, like, my mindset, like, oh, I felt like I had to do that to, like, perpetuate this sort of, like, culture of, oh, a man does anything nice for you, you owe them sex.
Mine isn't ever in that mindset, but I get that mindset, and I see that mindset 100%, and I, like, understand that. Mine is just more like, oh, I really like this person, and in the moment, that's what I wanted to do, but later I'm like, oh, that's awful that I did that, and shame. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, like, I think that sucks, like, as a woman, to, like, a guy would brag about
exactly
those experiences, but for me, I'm like think the world will judge me, and I like don't talk about it, and I enjoy sex. I'm like a sexual person, and I like it, but like as far as like actually being in it, like I don't.
Although at the same time,
like
I feel like I'm kind of like with you. Like I feel like, oh, I had sex in college, and I was like, just because in my mind, again, I'm not like, oh, I regret it, but it's just like it's something that I did, and it took me a long time to realize like, oh, sex is something that I'm supposed to enjoy too, and so like even now, it's just like it takes me a while to get to a point where I'm like, oh, I'm actually supposed to like relax and like enjoy having sex.
Enjoy the ride.
Enjoy the ride. Yeah, so I would always feel like having sex and like would be focused on like what the man wanted, and I was totally okay with that because in my mind I was like, oh, I'm getting this attention that I want, and that's great, and they're treating me nice, and so I'm happy to like have sex with them. And again, that's again why I was like, oh, I like don't regret like, you know, all these like non-sex experiences that I had. And then I remember I was talking to one of my friends, and she was like, dude, no, you're supposed to enjoy sex too. And I was like, huh? I feel like that, especially for women, it's so mental. Like for me, it's so mental, and it's like I can't help that. Like I feel a certain way, and like especially it's like this is why I like realize I need to just like stop like hooking up and being like hooking up. I'm like, I don't want to just hook up because I want to like be with someone that like wants to get to know me and
because
wants
then
to
you
get
become
to
more
learn
secure,
everything.
And that's why women want more relationship. It's not that I associate like sex with commitment. It's more like eventually sex becomes more meaningful.
Exactly.
The more secure I am.
Exactly, and it's like you enjoy it more when you feel more secure with who you're with, and so it's like you eventually get there, and that's why I feel like, again, I don't regret any of my experiences, but I feel like I'm at the point now where it's like I would rather, you know, like only share that with someone that like I actually have feelings for, sort of a thing. And it's funny because it's like, again, we're trying to like, I feel like all of us, I mean, you're in a different situation, but me and Gab, like we're at the place in our lives where we're realizing like, oh, if we do want to have that with someone, we want to have it with someone that cares about us and wants to like, you know, actually like make us feel good and everything. And we're stuck dating in this Seattle sort of fuckboy culture.
It's true. So is there anything I haven't asked about like on this question list that you guys wanted to talk about?
I don't know.
I don't know. I just feel like, I don't know. I feel like we've covered everything pretty well.
Good.
I know.
I wanted to make sure. So I wrapped my podcast with, what are you looking forward to within the next week?
Today's my Friday, so
Nice.
Chilling. It is my week of my childhood, like my equivalent to Gabby's wedding. I'm her maid of honor. Whoa. So I am her maid of honor, and yeah, it's her wedding week.
Where's she getting married?
Austin.
I want to go.
I know.
Dripping Springs. And guess where's one of the reception
Where?
slots? Deep Eddy's Vodka.
Ah, that's amazing.
Love that.
Or maybe it's Tito's, because they're both based here.
Yeah.
Deep Eddy's is the place in Austin. That's the name of the like thing.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, and so
thing.
is Tito's though.
Is it really?
So I can't remember if it's Tito's or
It's Deep Eddy's.
Deep Eddy's. I'll text you a picture of myself.
Yeah.
And then what are you looking forward to?
So I just graduated from my certificate program.
We should celebrate that as much as engagements and weddings.
And so I'm hopefully gonna get all my stuff together and go talk to my employer and say, hey, promote me.
Sign me the fuck up.
Beesh, what's good?
And then they listen to this podcast. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in.
Yes.
I'll see you next time.
Thank you for having us, Kenzie.
Thank you.
Cheers,
Thank you.
everyone.
Wait, let me get my glass. Let me get it. For the people who didn't already.
Cheers.
Oh,
Cheers.
Bye.